The Greeks had a proverb, and at the start of it, it said, know thyself. So the question is, how do we come to know ourselves? How do we come to know our personalities and, more importantly, our potential? I think the first thing to understand is that we don't really know ourselves in the first place. You know, what we think we know is only what we know at that level. You know, when we're 5, we think we are a 5-year-old, but is that all we are? No. We have so much more potential. So who we think we are is genuinely our personality, our limitations, our beliefs, our thoughts, our emotions, and that's who we think we are. And so when we say know thyself, it's really not know thyself, it's really know your potential. Because you have so much more potential inside of you if you were to see that. Now, one of the key things here is to take a step back and to just observe. Imagine that you are the observer of your own life and you're looking at yourself doing things and being like, interesting how I did that. And not from a place of judgment, but more from a place of observation and curiosity. And so it's like, oh, I did that. I did that, I did that, I did that. Why did I do these things? You know, what's going on for that? Is that really my potential? Is that really who I am? Is that really me knowing myself? Potentially not. And so we so often focus on our external circumstances and not focus on our capabilities. We don't focus on our potential because we're too focused on what we're seeing around us. So that really is us really trying to know ourselves from a limited perspective. You know, imagine if you're looking through the world right now through these glasses that are red. And so you're looking at the world and the world is red. But is the world red, or is it just the glasses that you're looking through currently? So when you're trying to look at yourself through them, you see yourself as red. But Matt, that's not really who you are. So the more that you just keep coming back and going, who am I? And try and figure out who you are and know yourself at the deep core level, you're going to really understand. You know, for a long time in my life, I would write down, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And I did that for about 6 or 7 years. And it wasn't every day, but I went through and I looked at all the different times how it changed. As I evolved and did the work and worked on myself, I kept coming through and seeing all these different changes of who I thought I was. Because that's the key point. We only think we know who we are, but really that's not us. What are we? We're just a soul in a human experience. So we literally can be anything that we want, but what we really need to know thyself is to know our limitations and to know why we've got to this point to start with. Because if you don't know why you've got to this point right now, how are you going to find out where you want to go? I want you to just ponder on a question on a little thought around this. Is imagine if back in the day, the civilization that roamed the world was 10 times advanced as what we are right now. Do you think that would change things for us? You know, potentially, you know, even a long time ago, they would have looked back and gone, well, if they can do it, well, we can. The point of what I'm saying is if the history was different, the future would be different too. But so many of us are living in a familiar past, and that's creating a familiar and a predictable future. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in a predictable future. I want to be in the unknown where anything and everything can come my way, because that's where the enjoyment comes from. And when I say anything and everything, I mean only even better than what I expected, right? Because I'm putting myself there. I'm putting myself out there. I'm constantly evolving. I'm letting go of the limitations and I'm being open to find inspiration that comes to me. And so that is the key point. The more that you know thyself, the more you can be yourself, the more you can love yourself. Now, if you don't really know who you are, you know, it's going to be hard to love someone, isn't it? Because you don't know who you are to start with. You know, how do you know what you love if you don't know where you are right now? You know, or who you are. So if you get a little bit like triggered, I suppose, with this video, good, you're welcome. Because it's really, really important to understand that we need to find out who we are. We need to constantly sit with ourselves. I always say too, how can you know who you are if you don't spend time with yourself? You know, so many people, they might go from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, and they don't have, you know, much time in between. Or they're always around people. You know, they don't like being by themselves. They're always around people. You see it in a lot of men too. They're always at work, and then they come home and they're always with the kids. And I'm sure females too, and women are the same thing. Mothers, because they've got kids around them all the time, they've got so much responsibility. Any mothers out there, I take my hat off to you. But we spend so much time with other people that we lose ourselves because we don't know who we are, because we haven't spent time with ourselves. You know, for example, like, how would you know who I was if you never spent any time with me? You wouldn't. So how do we expect to do that for ourselves? How do we expect to know who we are if we don't spend time with ourselves, by ourselves? So it's really, really important to spend time, you know, sit in times in silence, in meditation, no distraction, to sit in times of working through programs and personal development where you get to understand your core beliefs and your core emotions and the things that are really under the surface, the things that you are rejecting, or the things you're expressing, or the things that you are in your shadow that you haven't looked at or haven't loved yet. You just dive into all of those things and you start finding those things that you need to. But it all comes from that place of wanting to know thyself and spending time with yourself. I did a 10-day silent meditation, got another one coming up this year, and it was one of the most peaceful things ever. So 10 days you just sit in silence, meditate, you can't talk, you can't even look at anyone else really. No phones, no technology, nothing, you know, no books or anything like that. All you literally have is food and shelter, and you're just meditating for 10 hours a day. And it is one of the most peaceful things ever once you can get through, you know, the 2, 3, 4 days. But you get to that point and you start to understand who you are because you're sitting with yourself so much. You're feeling these thoughts, you're feeling these emotions, you're feeling these beliefs and these situations, and you've got so much going on, but you can deal with it because it's there. But previously it wasn't. We just push things down and we don't acknowledge them, we don't see them, and then they just are in the unconscious following us and not allowing us to be our true selves. The key point that I want to drive home here is to spend time with yourself, by yourself, so you can know who you are. Because the more you know who you are, the more you can be yourself. You can't be yourself if you don't know who that person is. And you definitely can't love yourself if you don't even know who you are. And it also makes it hard for others to love you if you don't love yourself. And this is why a lot of relationships fail, is because they don't know themselves. They're not being themselves and they don't love themselves, but they're expecting other people to love them. That's quite naive when you think about it. And it's no judgment, it's just the way it is because people don't understand this. So, really important to know thyself. Keep coming back. Firstly, understand that you don't know who you are right now. You don't know what you are. This is just the current version of you. You have so much more. And it's about focusing on your potential and focusing on your capabilities rather than focusing on what you have in this current circumstance right now. So I'm going to wrap this up right now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your biggest takeaway, what your biggest insight is out of this. If there's any one-liners that I said that really hit home, put it in the comments so others can look out for that. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Every Thursday, 6 p.m. we release these new ones. So like, subscribe, share it with your friends. If there's someone that needs to see this, share the link or show them this video. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.